Thank you for signing up for Trade Show University. We're so excited to have you on board, and we hope that this course is really going to help you make your trade shows more effective, more profitable, and we're just really excited about what we're going to be able to share with you over the next coming weeks. What I wanted to do in this video is just go over the PDF checklist that you received. So in the email that you just received on this page, you've got this video here, and you've got the PDF that you can download and print off. And I just kind of wanted to walk through the steps quickly with you, because if you have a trade show coming up right away, you'll be able to implement some of these ideas now. And then we're going to go in depth in each step over the next few weeks. So let's just jump into it, and let's go over some of this basic information. First, step one, and very critical, the idea that you need to get started now. I don't care if your trade show is in 2 weeks or a year, it is never too early to start planning. And some of the most important reasons you want to start planning early from a practical standpoint, you can purchase your display, construct your display, your graphics, handle your shipping arrangements, take care of all the fees associated with a trade show. If you start early, you are going to save thousands of dollars. You just wouldn't believe how quickly extra fees will rack up, whether it's rush shipping charges or rush production charges. When you wait to the last minute, you're just going to pay way more than you have to for a trade show. Additionally, when you start now, it allows you to do the even more difficult part, which is develop the strategy, okay, to put in your plan that you want to execute at your trade show from a marketing standpoint. If you don't start now, you're probably going to throw that plan together at the last minute. It's going to be less effective than you want it to be. Okay, let's look at step number 2, determine the value. Now this one is a little bit more complicated, but it's something that you absolutely need to do in your business, in your organization, as well as your trade shows. But you need to ask yourself, are you providing real value to your prospects, to your target prospects? What problems does your product and service, your organization, solve for your prospects, and what are they prepared to pay you for it? Because that really determines the true value of the opportunity of what you have in your business. Okay, so once you've asked yourself that, when you think about a trade show, you need to make sure that the right target prospects are at a particular show. But sometimes you may look at a show, an opportunity that you're thinking about going to, and you go, well, gosh, everybody in our industry goes to that show. But that's not why you need to exhibit there. You need to make sure that the people that you solve problems for are going to be there, the right people, and to make sure that you have something that's unique to offer to them. Because if you're not bringing anything of value to your prospects, there's not going to be much of an opportunity there at the trade show. And then finally, you need to determine the value for you and your organization. How many prospects are going to be at the event? What are they prepared to pay you for what you offer them, what you bring to the table? To really run some tough numbers to make sure that you have a good idea that a show can justify the amount of money that you're getting ready to spend on it. Now let's look at step 3. And as we go through, you'll see how each one of these steps builds on the last and the steps that came before it. Step 3 is build your budget. Okay? So in step 2, we talked about determining the value to your prospect, but the value to you as well. If you make the determination of the absolute best potential of a trade show, if you did it right, how much return on investment could you expect? So you've got to kind of calculate that number and figure, I think I could close 10 sales. I think I could get 20 new prospects into my funnel. I think I could make 100 people who'd never heard of my company aware of our company, and then down the road that could lead to some sales. Okay? You've got to try to determine the value, and then you're going to use that amount to build your budget, to come up and have a very, you need to be disciplined about this, have a disciplined budget for a particular trade show, because costs will spiral out of control on a trade show faster than you'll believe. So determine how much you think the trade show is worth if you do it right. That's your budget, and stick to that budget as we move forward. We're on step 4 now, which is craft your message. So let's think back to step 2. We determined our value, what we offered our prospects. Okay, when we think about crafting our message, at a trade show, there's going to be 200, 300, 400 different exhibitors. And your prospects are going to hear a lot of messages. There's going to be a lot of information coming at them. They're not going to remember a lot. They'll probably remember something from 5, 10 of the exhibitors that they come across. So when they think about your company, they're probably going to remember one thing. You know, those were the guys that offered me this, or they had this amazing product that did this. So when we think about crafting our message, we want to think about our unique selling proposition, what you and your organization bring to the table that's unique. Break it down into a sentence or so that's easy to understand, easy for them to remember. And so when they think about your company, they go, yes, that company can do this for me. So it's critical that in step 4, we think about what's the one sentence we hope our prospects will remember about us after the show. All right, step number 5, select your marketing media. Now, when you think about a trade show, a lot of people think, I have my booth. The booth is what I'm going to use to convey the message that I've created. But there is more to a trade show than just the booth. You have a lot of different marketing media that you can use to convey the message that we crafted in step number 4. Okay? We can think about the giveaways that we're going to give away in the booth. We can think about hosting a hospitality suite where you can invite people to an event that you host. You can sponsor different events at the trade show. You can use social media to kind of create a buzz. Twitter is very effective at trade shows. A lot of trade shows have a hashtag that they use, and you can discover that hashtag, jump into the conversation, and kind of create a little buzz about what you're doing. Video before and during the show. Your mailers, your email marketing that you're going to do before and after the show. There's a lot of different marketing media that you can use, so it's critical to identify which ones you want to use to convey your message. Let's look at step number 6, bring your message to life. So after we've determined what we hope our prospects will remember about us, and then we've determined what marketing tools we're going to use to express that message, now we need to bring it to life. The trade show is a very competitive environment, a lot of companies, a lot of booths, and you got to make sure that your message is going to stand out. So in the in-depth video series, we'll talk a little bit more about how to do that. But the key is to think about your prospect. This is not an opportunity to create your booth and put your brochure on the back wall and tell everything that there ever was to know about your company on the backdrop. This is an opportunity to communicate with your prospects. So in everything you do, whether it's hosting the hospitality suite, connecting with people on Twitter, designing the graphics for your booth, you need to think about messaging that's going to communicate with your prospect. Really identify who they are, what their needs are, what problems they're trying to solve, and speak directly to them. And that's how you're going to bring your message to life. Now let's talk about step 7, define the sales process. Now at a trade show, it's unlikely that of all your target prospects there, it's unlikely that all of them will be at the same stage of the buying process. You might come across individuals there who've heard of your company, that may even have received quotes already, and are very close to buying. And at the same time, there may be people at this show that have never heard of your company, don't know a thing about what you do, and they're just in the beginning process of your selling cycle. So it's critical that you diagram your sales process. Okay? So you want to understand when someone's never heard of us, we'd like them to come into the booth and hear a demo about what we can do for them. While if they have heard of us and they know about our products, maybe it's time for them to sit with the sales manager in the private suite area or in your conference room area. It's critical that you define your process so that it's not a one-size-fits-all when prospects are in the booth. Okay? You have the opportunity at a trade show to move people along in your sales process. And what this does is it really helps your booth staff to understand what the next steps are. If you've put this down on paper, the people who are working the booth for you, it's easy for them to understand, to ask a question to establish where a prospect is in your selling process. And then they easily know, okay, the next step is they need to do a demo now, or they need to meet with the sales manager. It makes it real easy for your team to accomplish the goals that you've set up for your show. So speaking of goals, we can jump right into step number 8, which is set your goals. Remember, I told you these are all going to build on the last. So if we've diagrammed our sales process, we know the steps that most of our prospects need to take to move from never having heard of our organization to becoming a customer or whatever it is that your goal is for them. That allows us to use each one of those steps as a goal in our trade show process. So at a show, you are very likely, hopefully, you're going to have a successful show and you're going to come home right away and close sales immediately. But if you only measured the impact of a trade show by closing sales within 2 weeks or a month of a show, you could be limiting the true potential of a trade show. So if you set the right goals before the show, you can determine, hey, we'd like to close at least 10 sales in the next 30 days after the trade show. But additionally, we'd like to introduce ourselves to 100 key prospects who've never heard of us. Or we'd like to set up 10 special meetings in our private suite at the show with our owner. Okay, and hopefully those meetings, while they may not lead to a sale in the first month after the show, they might lead to a sale 6 months after the show, or even a year after the show. But if you don't account for how a trade show is helping you accomplish some of those goals in the early part of your selling cycle, you're going to undersell the potential of a trade show. And you don't want to do that because you could be missing out on a tremendous amount of opportunities in your business. So when you set these goals, it allows us to look back at our budget. It kind of helps us from our budgeting standpoint of really understanding the true potential of a trade show so we know the right amount of money to spend on it to generate the right kind of return on investment that we're looking for. Okay, we're almost done now. We're at step 9, plan out the logistics. And I'm going to tell you from my experience, 17 years in the trade show industry, this is where most exhibitors start. Okay, they fail to set a budget. They don't think about the message that they're going to bring. They don't bring their message to life. They don't think about the sales process. They just think logistics. The boss told me we have a trade show. We've got to get ready for it. What do I need to order? What do I need to do? Okay. So now that being said, logistics are still very important, and it's critical that that you do them right, because you can have a great message, a great strategy for a trade show, but if your logistics are not well thought out, if the booth doesn't arrive, if you don't reserve the space you needed for the hospitality room, you got some big disaster heading your way, and we don't want that to happen. So it's difficult for me to go super in-depth about how to do this right, but in the training course, when we do our in-depth video number 9, we're going to really teach, I'm going to share a lot of secrets that I picked up through the years to help you save a lot of money on shipping, save a lot of money on trade show fees, how to keep your logistics airtight, planned out, so that you have, allows your plan that you've put into place, your marketing strategy, the right logistics allows you to accomplish your plan and your goals. Okay, step number 10. We've come to the end of our 10 steps for success, but this one is super important. You got to do it. It's the follow-through. We've got to measure our progress. Measure your progress, step number 10. And this has a couple of benefits. First, you can never truly determine your return on investment if you're not measuring your success. We've set goals in step number 8. Now we've got to make sure that we have the systems, the tracking in place to make sure that we're measuring our progress. And this isn't just, a week after the show, 2 weeks after the show. This is ongoing. What are the leads that we have that we created at a show? How are we doing on them? How are we doing on follow-up? One trade show leads into the next. It really never ends. But we want to measure each part of the program. If you host a hospitality suite, how many people came? How many people stayed an hour? How many people stayed 2 hours? Did you get the chance to interact with them and meet with them, or were they just came in and got free food? You've got to measure your success so you can measure your return on investment. And additionally, when we measure, it allows us to test. So we can try something new. We tried a new plan for a sponsorship, or we tried a new giveaway in the booth. How did it work out? Did it work? Well, let's try it again next year. Or did it not work? Let's put that off to the side. But when you measure, you can always make incremental improvements. So you say, okay, this worked. What if we added this to it, this element, to make it a little special? Did that work? Oh, that worked even better. Let's do it even more next year. So when we measure our progress, it allows us to evaluate our true return on investment, and it also allows us to strategize on how we can make improvements in the future. Okay, well, I'm glad that you've got the checklist. You got an overview, an idea of the 10 steps. If your trade show's coming up right away, you're not going to be able to do and implement all of this right away, but take what you can, put it into action right now. But we're going to go more in depth in the weeks to come, and we really feel if you invest in these 10 steps, you can have incredible success and really crush your competition. Well, thanks for participating with us, and we'll talk to you again soon.